The P7 Plus. Will we get this in Singapore? And you can think of this essentially as an electrified Mazda 6. Hey guys, welcome back to Sgcarmart. So over the next couple of days, we're going to be here in Shanghai with Zeekr and we're going to be experiencing the brand. We're going to be driving a bunch of cars. But first stop for us is right here. So we are here at Auto Shanghai, Shanghai Motor Show, whatever you want to call it. It's a massive thing. So car exhibitions, accessories, all kinds of things, over 12 halls I think. So we're going to run around this media day and see what we can catch. We're going to try to bring you some of the interesting cars here, but perhaps most relevantly the cars that will be making their way to Singapore. So let's go. So what do we expect here at Auto Shanghai? It's a huge show. There are over 100 brands here, and as you are probably going to expect, there are going to be a lot of Chinese brands and a lot of EVs. Now, we are obviously not going to cover all 100 brands because number one, it's impossible. Number two, my legs are not that strong. I'm already tired and it's only 12 o'clock. What we are going to do though is we're going to try to cover the relevant brands, right? So brands you see in Singapore, any new launches of cars that will likely come to Singapore. So let's go check out these cars. So we are here at the Zeekr booth, and I think perhaps most relevantly is this car. This is the 7X. This car will be coming to Singapore sometime in the end of this year, and we are actually going to be driving the car, so stay tuned for some of our first driving impressions. And what you see behind me is the sustainable experience architecture. So it's a modular architecture, it's all electric, underpins all of Zeekr models. So from the smaller Zeekr X all the way up to the 009 MPV and the newly unveiled 9X SUV. Now, there are two cars on display at Zeekr's booth here. The first one is that. It's a 009 Grand Collector's Edition. It's a 009 Grand with a whole ton of extra goodies on top, the main one being gold, like 24 karat gold. And the claim here is that this is the car with the most gold on it in the world. So you have gold accents on the wheels, gold accents on the outside, you have alpaca wool carpets on the inside. It's kinda ostentatious. And that behind me is the new Zeekr 9X, the brand's flagship SUV. And if you're thinking, it looks a little bit like a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, well, that's kinda the point, right? This is Zeekr showing its intent to really try to compete in that luxury space. The other thing you need to know about this car is that unlike all the Zeekrs that have come before, it's not fully electric. It's a hybrid, it's a plug-in hybrid. But it is the debut of Zeekr's super hybrid system that they're calling it, right? So the interesting thing is that the electric range on this plug-in hybrid, they say is 380 km, so that's really quite significant for a PHEV. Now, it's also gonna have dual chamber air suspension and active stabilizer bar, so it's gonna be super comfortable. And this is also the debut of G-Pilot, so that's Zeekr's fully autonomous driving system, right? So they claim end-to-end driving, maybe in China, yes, in the rest of the world, unlikely, but let's see when the car makes it to overseas markets. Now, other things you need to know, Zeekr says it has the world's largest grille and world's largest bonnet, and it's also supposed to be really easy to use, really comfortable, right? So it has a really large rear door aperture, and the rear doors can open more than 80 degrees, so that's going to make getting in and out really quite easy. And then there is that big question, will this car come to Singapore? I think right now, it's a bit of a question mark because Zeekr has two essentially large SUVs planned, right? So there's this 9X and then eventually something called an 8X. So that's going to sit somewhere between the upcoming 7X for Singapore and then this 9X. And we understand that it's likely going to be a choice between the two, one of the two, right? And I think ultimately it's a question of which is the right one for our market. We are here at the Lynk & Co booth, and for those of you who don't know, Lynk & Co and Zeekr are now effectively sister brands. So the two brands have actually been merged together just this year under the broader Zeekr group. And of course, both brands are under the broader Geely umbrella. But actually, Lynk & Co are a much more established brand, right? They have been around for more than a decade. Now, the main thing to know about Lynk & Co is that they only make left-hand drive cars, which means that we are likely never going to see the brand in Singapore. But let's just quickly go run around the booth and see what cars are there. So, insert B-roll. So we are here at the Xpeng booth, and that is the updated X9. So it was just recently launched in Hong Kong, and while it's called 2025 edition, it's actually been heavily revised, and this car is coming to Singapore, but which variant we don't know quite yet. The P7 Plus. Will we get this in Singapore? We don't know yet, but what's interesting is that it's a sedan, and that's maybe a little bit unusual in this age of all-electric SUVs. Now we're here at the Lexus booth, and the big news is the global debut of the all-new 8th generation ES. And the big news is that the Lexus ES is now both a hybrid and a battery electric vehicle. So at launch, there are actually 4 variants already announced, 2 EVs and 2 hybrids. Which ones are coming to Singapore? I can assure you the hybrids will definitely come to Singapore. The BEVs, question mark for now. Let's go take a closer look. Now, from a design perspective, you can clearly see that the car leans into a bold next generation electric look, right? And inside, Lexus actually is debuting 2 new features. So they call it responsive hidden switches, as well as something called a sensory concierge. Obviously, we'll wait till we get a closer look with the car to really explore those features. Okay, so we are here at the Denza booth. So in Singapore, Denza right now sells the D9, which is this car here. But we understand that there are a couple of models slated to come in as well. So at the booth here, there are a few interesting cars, right? So there is the N9, there's the N7, there's the Z9, and perhaps most interestingly, launched just today is the Denza Z. So that is an all-electric 2-door sports car. Let's go take a look. So we're now here at the Mazda booth, and Mazda are debuting the EZ60 here today. But this isn't it, this is the EZ6, and you can think of this essentially as an electrified Mazda 6. And our understanding is that there will be 2 kinds of powertrains offered, right? One would be a purely battery electric model, and there will also be a range extender model. So effectively, in that one, you will have a petrol engine to help with the hybrid powertrain. It is effectively going to be a hybrid. This car is not just a China-only model. It is effectively going to be called the Mazda 6e, and we understand it's going to come to Singapore at some point. Now, we're inside the car, and first of all, I must point out that what you see here may or may not be reflective of what will be in the export model, right? As you expect, a lot of nice premium touches, very Mazda of them. I think if you look closely, you might see some similarities between these and some of your China cars, especially in terms of your screen layouts, your graphics, stuff like that. And that's because, yes, this car shares a lot of underpinnings with a Deepal model. So, you know, it is co-built with a Chinese brand. So expectedly, there's going to be a lot of China heavy touches, right? Beyond that, I would say in some ways a familiar Mazda space. You know, it feels very comfortable, it feels very ergonomic, and it feels premium, it feels expensive. Again, everything's in Chinese, so I'm not really gonna be able to read very much of it. Again, it looks very much like one of these Chinese user interfaces because it basically is. Now let's go check out the brand new model being debuted, which is the EZ60. And that is the new Mazda being debuted. It's called the Mazda EZ60. And why is it? Again, it's going to be called the CX-6e overseas, so think of it as an electrified CX-6. Basically, it's your coupe crossover SUV, one of those things, right? So similar to the 6e or EZ6, it's going to be both a hybrid and a BEV, so it's going to be a full electric model as well as a range extended model. This Audi is actually a sub-brand of the wider Audi group, and it's exclusive to China and to EVs. And I think that really says something, right? Where you have a legacy car maker who has decided they need an entire sub-brand just for China and just for the electric segment. And that's going to be the first car from this Audi China sub-brand. It's called the E5 Sportback, and yes, it's all electric. Again, it's not going to be coming to Singapore because this is, again, going to be a China exclusive model. Looking at the design of it is definitely very futuristic. Okay, so we have come to the end of our day here at Auto Shanghai, and let's be clear of one thing, it's not because we've been to every single booth, it's because we've run out of time. So the motor show is over 3 floors and 10, 12, 14 halls, I don't even know, and we've probably covered like a quarter, a third at most, and that's just because this place is huge. There's so many things to see, and obviously we can't get to see everything. But yes, we spent a day looking at cars, but we are also going to be able to drive some of them, right? We're going to be driving some Zeekr models, some Lynk & Co models perhaps as well. So let's cut to Hangzhou.